Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tres Leches Sports Podcast. I'm Gilly Matos. Tres Leches Sports Podcast is always brought to you in conjunction with El Mundo Boston. And as always, joining me, my friends, mis colegas, longtime baseball announcer, Uri Berenguer. Don't call me Tom Berenger. How you doing?
I'm all right, Gil. I'm all right, brother. I say I'm all right, but not really. I'm like this. I hate this week every year. Like there's 2 weeks during the year that I feel miserable. They suck. And that's daylight savings week, you know? Like the first week of daylight savings is like, what the hell? Your body feels like crap. My brain is all screwed up. I'm just all over the place. Like this week sucks. Daylight savings week just sucks. I don't know what time it is.
It's a little rough. It's that hour difference definitely makes a difference. I mean, shoot, my old job, I used to have to travel to China, and that's like 12, 13-hour differences. That sucked. That really sucked. Also joined by good friend Omar Cabrera, reporter for the New England Patriots and New England Revolution. How's it going, O?
Man, it's great to be here, guys. Man, you guys are such amazing, man. I forgot daylight saving was this week. That feels like it was so long ago already. But I hear you, though. Everyone's getting, everyone deals with it differently.
We forget, Gil, that he's got the rough life. He's still, he's got to risk his life every day on the tee. So
that's right. Don't forget about it for a year now, over a year now, by the way.
The COVID kid. Well, Tres Leches Sports Podcast is always brought to you in conjunction with El Mundo Boston and Tres Leches Sports Podcast. 3 stories, 3 guys. Let's get started here. The Pats in 24 hours, guys. They have guaranteed over $137 million, the second most in NFL history. Before and during the free agent signing period, a record that they will most likely break this week. Do you think the moves they have made would put them back in contention in the AFC East or the AFC, or is it simply smoke and mirrors? What's up, Yuri? What do you think?
You know what, Gil? I mean, first of all, yeah, it was awesome. It was like you hear about the first one, then like you're not even done digesting the first pickup, the first move, and next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, they got Hunter Henry. It's like, it was like boom, boom, boom. Like it was like Bill was just waiting. Like somebody just gave him this bag of money, and he was just waiting to spend it all at the same time. I got to lead off with that because it was just really awesome. It's a feeling that us in New England haven't had in ever, ever really. Now, as for are they moves that make them competitive, or does it make them a competitor in the AFC East and the AFC? Well, I'll say that in the AFC East, yeah, I think they do. I mean, let's remember, guys, they were a 7-9 team, that could have very easily gone 9-7. They were what 3 yards away from beating Buffalo. They were, the Denver game they should have won. They could have very easily been 9-7. Now, and that's not to say that they were a very good team. I mean, but you got to give credit to the guy who just continues to show that he's the best coach in football, and that's Bill Belichick. What he did with that team was amazing. I mean, one of the best lines you used all the time, Gil, during the season is that they're playing football with a high school offense. Yeah, well, that high school offense won 7 games in the National Football League. So that's something. Now, you get these players. Other than Hunter Henry, did they really get any superstars? No, not really. But they got good players. They got a core of good players. They filled in as many holes as they had. Bill went out there and filled them in like the way that he likes to. Bill isn't that kind of guy who's used to bringing in all these superstars all the time. No, he brings in versatile players. He brings in role players. He brings in guys who are willing to do your job, as he says. Just do your job, and that's the kind of guys that he got. So yes, do they compete in the AFC East? I think so. Mostly because other than Buffalo, I just don't believe in Miami. I really don't. I know that they were much better last year, but Tua just really, really disappointed me. And Gil, you see him, you get to see him more closer than we do. I just don't. I'm not ready to call Miami the real deal just yet. I think Buffalo is, and I think Bill will get his team back to at least competing. I'll tell you this much. And do they compete in the AFC? I can't say that just yet. I really can't. I'd like to, but I can't. However, this is also what it does to Bill is that it eliminates, to Bill and to all of us Patriots fans, it eliminates any excuses. There are no excuses. You know what? If this is what you're going with, this is the team you're building. You had all the money in the world, and you did what you had to do. Great, you did it. Now go out and show it. The Patriots, I think, have to make the playoffs this year.
And they certainly have the draft as well to address the remaining holes, and they still have some money left too. So a lot of these contracts have been very, very smart and still giving them enough flexibility there under the cap. Dolphins last year, speaking of those Dolphins, they set the record last year for the most money ever spent during a free agency period, and they ended up missing the playoffs, as did the 2019 Jets. But obviously, this Belichick is not Adam Gase, and he's not Brian Flores as much as we like Brian Flores. Do you think this makes them contenders in the AFC East, in the AFC, or is this all smoke and mirrors?
Man, yeah, I was so excited yesterday and today that I have to wear my Patriots hoodie today just because, man, I think it's finally some exciting times back in New England after the awful year we had last year. And like you said, maybe we didn't get like really big names, but I'm excited about some of these names. Especially, I'll tell you which three names I'm really excited. On defense, I'm so excited about Matt Judon. I think he's gonna make the defense so much better this year. We're gonna have Hightower coming back this year. Those two guys on the sides are going to be like a nightmare for a lot of offenses. So I'm really excited about that addition. He might not be a superstar, but he's definitely a solid player. So on defense, I'm really happy about that signing. And on offense, you already mentioned Hunter Henry, but the day before they got Jonas Smith. Man, those two guys just brings back a lot of memories of using two tight ends like in the past we did. So I think that's going to create a lot of opportunity for Cam Newton or whoever comes back. I mean, whoever comes at the as the starting quarterback, I think it's gonna give him a lot of options, and it's also gonna give him an option. You know what? I think the Patriots this year are setting themselves to be a lot of running heavy offense, and with these two guys, I think it's gonna open a lot of options for the offense. So I'm really excited about those three acquisitions, and the other ones I think are really, really solid. And we're not even done yet. You know what? You said we still have some money left. I think we have between $35 and $40 million left in the cap. So, man, I'm excited about what's going to happen in the next few days, too.
Yeah, and I just say, like, all my Dolphin fan friends over here in Miami, they're all like, oh, you guys really think that's going to make a difference, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, did you guys really think the greatest coach of all time was going to go out like that? You really think that he was going to come off of a 7-9 season, have all this money in free agency, and he wasn't going to go after him? Oh, but you guys didn't sign any superstars, is what I hear. Okay, yeah. Of course, he didn't sign any superstars. Bill doesn't sign superstars. He signs people that he can plug in to be successful. And these guys are all going to be able to do that. You mentioned the guys that got on defense in Matt Judon, and Jalen Mills is another guy who I think is going to make a big difference too. A guy that can play in the secondary and he can just flip him around between safety, corner, and have him play different positions. Shored up the run defense, which was a big problem they had last year. And you mentioned it, Omar. You hit the nail right on the head there. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, look, are they budget Hernandez and Gronk? Yeah, but they do a lot of the same things that they were able to do when they had Hernandez and Gronk, and that definitely opens that field up a little bit. And then you add Aguilar and Bourne, who can stretch the field a little bit too. Edelman, if he can stay healthy, he proved that even with his age, when he was healthy last year, he was still able to make a difference in there. This offense definitely got a lot better, and they're not done yet, like you said.
And you know what? If I can add one more thing, guys, it also, I said that it eliminates all the excuses, all the possible excuses for all of Patriots Nation and obviously for Bill Belichick. But it also eliminates the excuses for Cam Newton. I mean, the reality is, and I'm one of the guys who have said it over and over again, I'm sick of people just beating up on Cam Newton because I think that he is still an NFL QB. But yes, I think last year he was handcuffed to a certain extent. He didn't have the weapons. He didn't have a full camp. The guy was beaten up for kind of. He had an awful season with very limited help. Well, you know what, Cam? You can't say that after the 2021 season. In the 2021 season, I think that all those excuses are gone, and he's got to show whether he's right or whether he is, or whether I'm right or am I wrong.
No, you're right, Yuri. And I think a lot of people conveniently forget too that the year before this, when Brady was there, Brady was throwing a lot of balls into the dirt as well. And guys aren't open. You're not going to take a sack. You don't want to throw an interception. You just get rid of the ball. So I think Cam definitely deserves the benefit of the doubt in that sense. Also COVID, no preseason, everything else. So I think, I'm very, very excited to see what happens this season with this team. Oh, you got your credential yet? You're going to get out there?
Oh, definitely, man. I can't wait. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the Tampa game. I can't wait. I already got that in my calendar.
That's going to be a big one.
Well, guys, moving on from one contact sport to the other, eye pokes have been a problem in MMA since the beginning, but following the latest near disaster Saturday night at the main event of UFC Vegas 21, when Leon Edwards accidentally poked Belal Muhammad and the fight had to be declared a no contest after Muhammad suffered a nasty cut on his eye, people are calling for the UFC to finally make changes to the gloves. Gil, do you think it is time that the UFC finally comes with new gloves or some type of changes?
I think it was time 5 years ago. They should have done that. I think, it was bad too, because, like Leon Edwards had almost been off. I mean, he'd been off for almost 2 years, a year and a half. And he was doing so well. I thought he was on his way to win that fight. Bilal Muhammad's a good fighter and a guy who's fun to watch as well. But Leon Edwards really showing that he's a different echelon there. And then you had that nasty eye poke. And, it's like saying eye injuries just it was disgusting to see it, and it was scary for a while too. He was crying on the floor, couldn't see out of his eye. But as we know, the rules prohibit fighters from advancing with their fingers out. But those gloves, the UFC gloves, all the fighters complain about this. They say it all the time. The leather is very hard to close your fist. So when you're moving forward, you have your fingers open. So a lot of them are saying that, they should move to something that's a little more like the old Pride gloves that curve down, and it's a little harder to poke in the eye, and you can still grapple with it because it's open. Actually, MMA coach Trevor Whitman developed some gloves that are very similar to the Pride gloves, and there's a lot of people that really, really like them. Rashad Sugar Evans is one of the guys that's a big proponent of them, even though he doesn't fight anymore, but he's out there promoting them, and Joe Rogan, a big fan of them. But I think, it's a big complaint, and it's not just me saying it, I mean, who am I? I just watch the sport. I like watching it. I'm not the one participating in it. And when you hear a lot of the fighters complaining about this, saying we should have done this shit a long time ago, that tells you everything you need to know there.
Yeah, definitely. I think, that's the people who have to listen to, the fighters. They're the ones, risking their life. Yuri, what do you think?
Yeah, Gil, you're dead on. You're dead on. And you said most of the things, all the things that you said, or most of them I was actually going to mention, but you're dead on. I mean, this is one of the things that it reminded me of when I was thinking about this. I'm like, you know what? As much as I love the UFC and it's like the new, it's still the new kid on the block. It's still the new sport, the sport that's taking over. It's still that new sport that we all are falling in love with every day more and more. It, unfortunately, in this case, it seems like it took a page out of baseball. It took a page out of baseball's book. It's like, this is nothing new. This isn't a conversation that's just getting started today. This is one of those things that has been known, has been documented, has been complained about, as you said, as you've mentioned, not only at the highest level, but also at the gyms. You go to the gym and you work out, you hear the fighters talking about it all the time. I put those gloves on, and yes, they're designed so as that they force your hand open. They force your hand open, and so it's also difficult to penalize a fighter that pokes someone in the eye, because it's really, they're not intentional. Most of the time, it's not intentional. Fighters, one of the things they do, they talk about framing, about framing your opponent, about measuring, about trying to measure how far he is, the distance between him and between you and your opponent, trying to get in, and trying to frame correctly. Well, how do you frame? You put your hands up. You put your hands up, you feel them out, and most of the time, or all the time, your fingers are, wide open. Your hands are wide open. It's going.
And they're also protecting themselves as well with their hands up. And it's like, I think Daniel Cormier said it the best. He's like, you can change everything you want and make all the rules you want, but at the end of the day, it's a fight. So things are going to happen. The
problem I have, I guess not the only problem, but one of the things that's most perplexing to me is that they already have the solution. And they've had the solution for quite a while. I mean, I know the training gloves, MMA training gloves. Yeah, they're 7 ounce. They're 7-ounce gloves rather than 4-ounce gloves. But they change the curvature of your fingers. They do kind of not force, but help you close your finger or close your hand a lot better. It avoids all of this. And so I just don't know why the UFC is just sitting on sitting on their hands and not doing anything about it. They've had the solution for a while. They've had the complaint for a while. This isn't a new conversation. It's about time they do it.
Yeah, it's you hear all the fighters complaining about it, and there's nothing worse than, that was a free event too. I mean, imagine if that was a pay-per-view event that you paid $75 for, and the main event comes and it ends within 30 seconds, or in this case, in the second round. But they can't have this. It's a disaster for them, PR wise, right? But they continue to do it, and you have to wonder why they are being stubborn about making the change. Is it a money thing? Is it just maybe they have a contract with the glove man? Who knows what it is? But there's a lot of different things floating around the internet, a lot of different rumors as to why. But I think the time has come for that change to be made.
I agree.
Time has definitely come. And well, guys, time has also come for MLB to once again start experimenting with new rules at the minor league level in order to see whether or not there are some that they may want to be, or they think it's worth implementing at the big league level. Some of the rules, or the rules that they will be experimenting with, are slightly larger bases with a less slippery surface, requirement for all 4 infielders. I know this is all what Gil's all about. A requirement for all 4 infielders to have their cleats within the outer boundary of the infield dirt when the pitch is delivered. Also, a requirement that pitchers must step off the rubber to attempt a pickoff, a limit of 2 pickoff attempts per plate appearance, a 15-second pitch clock, and an automatic ball strike system. Those are some of the rules that they'll be messing around with. So, what do you think? Do any of these catch your attention as something that you may want to see at the big league level? I'll start with our very own self-proclaimed purist, Omar, what do you say, O?
Actually, I was hoping you would start with me because I knew you would be really surprised with my answers. But believe it or not, I'm actually kind of excited and looking forward to a lot of this, this changes at the minor league level just to see how things work out. To see if some of them will actually could transfer to the big level later on. But I think a lot of them sound interesting and exciting, and I think it will also help move the game along, faster. That's why everyone complains the games are too long. So for the most part, I feel like a lot of these new rules at the minor league level are targeted towards that. You know what? To make the game go faster.
Like which one?
Like at the ones with the pitcher. Both actually, I believe you said the limit of 2 pickup attempts per plate. The second 15-second pitch clock also, right?
Yep.
All those I think supposed to make the game go faster. So I know I'm a purist, but you know what? At the same time, I know we need changes. And I think this is definitely going to help the game go a little faster, which is what a lot of people are complaining about nowadays. Those are two that I like, and I also feel like it's going to help the game be more exciting. If this happens, there'll be more stolen bases. I think that's something we actually gotten away from, stolen bases. And I tell you guys, that's why I love the National League, small ball, because there's more stolen bases, more bunts, more small hits. Why are you smiling, Yuri?
Because I'm smiling because I
you don't agree with me already, but that's how I feel.
Hey, listen, I got to respect it, but I'm smiling because here I thought, oh, word, we're getting through an episode where Omar and I don't get into an argument. We're getting to an episode where I don't tell him how wrong he is, and then you go ahead and you mess it all up. And you go ahead and do that.
But those are the ones that I like. But again, I'm saying at the minor league level, I would like to see how things work out this season. I don't know, maybe for 2 or 3 years, see how how long they want to try it for, and then see if, whatever works, it makes it more exciting. Yeah, I would like to see it. At the major league level later on.
I mean, I'll tell you this. I think I'm a big advocate of. Let me see it first before I make before I make a decision, like a concrete decision. Let me see it first. So I like the fact that they're experimenting because I want to see how it looks. I may not like it right now, but I'll run on second base. I hated that idea when it was first thrown out there. I did not like it. But then after seeing it for an entire season, I'm like, I didn't mind it at all. It was actually, not bad. To me, it didn't change much of it at all. I didn't mind it. But there's definitely some of these rules that I don't like. And before I reveal those, I'm going to go over with Gil. What do you think, Gil? Any of these rules that stand out to you? I know that you're a big advocate for the non-shifting thing.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I hate the shift. I think the shift has completely ruined baseball and ruined the not so much the small ball, because I'm not talking about bunts and everything else, but it's taken the base hit and killed the base hit and basically station to station baseball. It's killed that. And I like that they're, experimenting with this in AA and that they're requiring infielders to have both of their feet in the infield dirt. I like that quite a bit. I think, last year we learned our lesson there. We're like 10 years into the experiment here of being, of teams prominently using shifts. Hitters haven't adjusted. And I hate hearing this, hitters should adjust. Yeah, you know what? That's easier said than done. And it's while your product is suffering as well. So last year, the league hit 245. So just, take that into consideration. Get the shift out of here. The other thing that really excites me there, Yuri, is I like the pickoff idea because, let's be honest, guys, is, unless you're Mariano Rivera and you're trying to keep Dave Roberts on in Game 5 in 2004 because he's stealing, everybody in the world knows he's stealing, you don't need to throw the ball over there 17 times. Pitchers do it to kind of, get themselves back in and calm themselves down, or maybe to get the guy in the bullpen, give him some more time so he can warm up. All these little games that are played, I like shortening the games a little bit. But the thing that I really like is the electronic strike zone. And that's something that in theory sounds good, but I really am glad that they're testing it in the full season, and we'll see what that minor league data tells us and everything, see if it's something that is viable for Major League Baseball to use. But I do like the prospect of like, hey, we know we have the whatever it is, the Amica strike zone or whatever you want to call it. Why don't we use that? Why aren't we using that technology? So although it takes away a little of the idiosyncrasies of having a human being calling that play or calling balls and strikes, I think it does make things a lot more consistent.
Well, how can we get through football and MMA with all, just in peace and not have no problems? We got to get to baseball, and we all got to disagree. Why does that happen?
Why? What do you want? You like pickoffs?
I'll tell you this.
Or the double shift.
I enjoy the one that I agree with you is the whole automatic strike zone. Hey, listen, as a play-by-play broadcaster, guys, it's nothing that frustrated me more than it was, a bad call, and not just one bad call. I mean, continuous bad calls. It happens all the time, and you make the umpires look bad. You really are making them look bad as well. especially if you have the technology to help them out, help them out. But so that's where you and I agree. However, both of you kind of, in my opinion, kind of contradict yourselves. I mean, Omar likes which one you said? You said you like the pickoff, was it?
Yeah, I like the both that have to do with the pitching and the pickoff.
The pickoff thing, guys. So you're limiting a guy to only two pickoff moves. Two pickoffs, right? You're limited. So if you're a runner, why don't you okay? Now he can't throw over anymore. I'm stealing. Why don't you just go on a third? Why don't you just go on a third attempt?
But why would MLB be against that when MLB was using tightly wound balls to up production of offense and stuff and home runs? Well, exactly. I'd rather see stolen bases and base hits than strikeouts and home runs every.
Now here's the contradiction to that as well. Here's the contradiction to that. What you're doing is that you're adding offense to the game, and what happens when if there's more offense, longer game.
Not necessarily adding offense to it though. I mean, not everybody's going to be able to steal a base just because the guy's not throwing over. I mean, you have these certain guys that are specialists and do that certainly, but
every top hitter, every number one hitter in the lineup is going to be able to steal a base.
Well, unless you're Kyle Schwarber, but
if your first hitter is Kyle Schwarber, then you have bigger problems.
He's got great OBP. Gets on. No, but I see I hear what you're saying, and maybe 2 is not enough or whatever. But I think it's 2 things there, Yuri. I think it shortens the game as well, which is something they're desperately trying to do, and it also does take away. I would say like 90% of those throws over to first base are completely useless. So
I don't see, and again, I stand by this. I want to see it first, and I think we can all agree on this. I wouldn't want to see it before I stand by it. But my gut instinct is I don't like it. I don't like just because again, if you're a good base runner, you're one of those fast guys. Dude, okay, I'll just wait till he throws over 2 times. The next time I'm gone. He can't throw over here again, so I'm gone. And I'll do it at every base. Simple as that. So, but again, I'm willing to see how it works out. The whole first base thing, I was actually, I didn't, you don't even think about it really. But when it's pointed out, it's like, wow, how are they not doing this in baseball yet? How is, first base still just the same size as the second base? I mean, Manny Machado steps on every first baseman in the world, it looks like. Yeah. And so this is going to make playing first base a lot easier, a lot safer, and it's something that should have been done forever ago. Yeah. So
and then making the material more water resistant so it's not as slippery. I mean, that's how's 2021 and we're just doing this now. But
I know. Actually, I remember when we played softball, we used to put 2 bases next to each other. Exactly. That way, like you have the fielder in one base, and then you have to run in the other one. So.
It's a safety thing. I mean, people get injured. And the last thing I will say, and again, this is one that you and I bump heads constantly. And yes, I do fall in that category, Gil, of I think that you're making the game, you're facilitating the game for major league hitters. It's like you're a major league hitter. You should be able to, spread the ball around. I guess I hate to fall back on it again. Like I guess I'll wait to see it, but I do not like the idea of getting rid of the shift. This doesn't get rid of the shift. I mean, they can still shift, obviously. So the whole, but they have to stay in the infield. I'm all right with that.
They can. I don't like the eliminating the shifts. It's not you just can't stack 6 guys on the right side of the field, and then what does that lead to? It leads to a home run, a strikeout, or a walk. Which all 3 are up, right? So is that really making your product better?
Well, it is now. What you're doing is you're arguably again adding more offense, therefore making the game longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the throw overs to first base is going to impact it as much as like a wound up ball or anything. But well, guys, we've reached the final segment of the episode here, final segment of the podcast, where we give an abrazo or chancletazo, which is a spanking, which is the chancletazo, or a hug, which is the abrazo. Let's start off with you. What do you got this week?
Man, Gil, you know what? I was going to give this big abrazo, but I think you were going to do the same one. So I'm going to leave it to you because I have a feeling you always say that since you go last.
No. You do it.
Like I always take away you always take away your abrazos or your chancletazos. So I was trying to be nice. So I was going to leave it for you. So I'm going to go with another one. So I'm going to go with another abrazo, and I got to give an abrazo. Just what we were talking about at the beginning. Big abrazo to the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick, and Bob Kraft for playing out the checkbook this week. And you know what? Making all the fans of New England feel excited again. Feel excited about all the moves they made this week. The William Dilling is still not over. I think we're going to see a lot of more moves coming up in the next few days. And for that, I give the New England Patriots a big abrazo because I think we're back on track. They're going to be competitive this year. I'm not sure if they're Super Bowl caliber yet, but they're definitely going to be exciting to watch this year again with all the new moves. So a big abrazo to the New England Patriots for that.
Nice. Yeah, well, Pat, they're definitely spending some loot there. Yuri, what do you got this week?
Well, I'm glad that say a big abrazo to the Patriots and not Bill Belichick, because I'm like, I don't know if Bill would let you get that close. I don't know if Bill may give you that look, like, boy, get closer. I dare you to. So, but you know what? I'm also gonna stick with football, but I'm going towards former offensive tackle, former Baltimore Ravens offensive tackle, and the inspiration actually for the movie The Blind Side. You guys remember The Blind Side? The kid with who had what's that?
Sandra Bullock.
That's right. Yeah, she was a MILF in that movie. Absolutely. I'm referring to Michael Orr. Michael Orr, who you know, since retired, Michael Orr, as we all know the story, you know, he had a lot of difficulties going through his life, and well, Orr is now paying it forward. You know, he's giving back to the community. He's talking about, you know, the importance of mental health. He says how he's still struggling with a lot of trauma that he suffered at an early age, and he's put together this app called Good Deeds. And I encourage all of us to look for it and just read up on it. It's called Good Deeds that he put together, and it's a way for people to connect with community members who are in need. So you download the app. If you're a person in need, you download the app, you make a profile, and you pretty much say what you need, what you're in need of. And on the other side, if you're a person who wants to help, well, you get linked up. You download the app, and you make a profile, and you pretty much offer what you have to give. They link you up, and it's much easier. It makes the transaction a lot easier. You know that whatever you're giving to the person who needs it directly. Sometimes, you know, we all have good intentions and give to certain charities, but don't know what ends up happening with your money. This way, you're doing it directly. So big ups to Michael Orr and Sandra Bullock, just because you guys mentioned her, and I got to think about her again. So big abrazo, Michael Orr. Keep up the good work, buddy.
Nice. That sounds really cool. Got to check that out.
Yeah, me too.
I think I'll start off with a very quick abrazo. I think that this is what O was talking about, is that despite what A-Rod and her are saying, I want to give a big abrazo for J-Lo, because when TMZ reports it, that means it's true. So big abrazo to J-Lo, as she is now just 2 rings away from tying Tom Brady.
Jesus.
Probably my favorite meme of the week.
That was a nit, by the way, but okay.
Oh, God.
My other big abrazo is to Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, who signed a 2-fight deal to unify the 4 world titles in the heavyweight division. Guys, there's, you know, I love the UFC and everything. I love the UFC fights, but there's no big buzz like a big boxing fight. I will always say that. And with that, too, I want to give a big abrazo to the family and the legacy of the marvelous Marvin Hagler, who for some time in the 80s, he was, I mean, as unbeatable as anybody. Also in the 80s, I would say he was single-handedly Boston's 5th sports team, like the great Bob Ryan said. Must-see fight every time he fought. A guy who never ducked anybody. A guy who was part of the 4 Kings there with Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, and Sugar Ray Leonard. And a guy who, quite honestly, in a lot of people's mind, went 3-0 against those guys, despite losing the fight to Sugar Ray in very controversial fashion. Sugar Ray Leonard, after hearing upon Marvin Hagler's passing, talking about that fight, said that was the closest to death I have ever been. Was in that fight. So rest in peace to the marvelous one. By all accounts, I never met him, but by all accounts, a great guy outside of the ring as well. So,
yeah,
rest in peace, champ.
He's one of those guys, you know, one of those guys that just stories follow. You know, there's certain guys that just you hear so many stories of him. Obviously, as much as inside of the ring as outside of the ring. He's one of those guys that the stories outside of the ring also just follow him all the time.
Yeah,
you always heard good stuff about him.
Yeah, and for the kids who haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been if you haven't seen it this week, but check out his fight against Tommy Hearns. I mean, the most exciting 3 rounds in boxing, certainly the most exciting first round in any fight I've ever seen. So definitely check that out. But what is that what you were talking about? Or is that the one that you had?
Talking about.
All right.
I think you always say that. So, you know, let me leave it for you, because we always take away your abrazos or your chancletazo. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
What's going on? What happened to this episode? I mean, we had several interruptions, but all of a sudden we also end the episode with 3 abrazos. 3 abrazos? Like, when does that happen?
Well, I didn't know if J-Lo deserved a chancletazo or an abrazo for that.
Oh, J-Lo deserves chancletazos every day, but, you know.
I mean, she's 2 rings away, so. Well, we reached the end of this episode of the Tres Hechas Sports Podcast. Be sure to check us out next week, and be sure to check us out on all our social medias, for YouTube, for Facebook, Facebook and YouTube. Check us out on there. Make sure you can check us out and download the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast as well. For Uri Berenguer, for Omar Cabrera, I'm Gil Matos. Have a great week, guys. Peace.